The objective of the organization, We the World, is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time.
Welcome to the 11 Days of Global Unity Summit 2023. My name is Jana Larson, and I am coordinator of the Economic Justice Campaign for We the World, as well as filling many other roles for We the World. Today, I'm excited that we will be joined by Sue Blythe, Carol Devine, and John Nix. For the full 11 days summit schedule, you can register for free by going to we.net. Then you can participate in the after panel public discussions and see replays of the recordings. There you can also make a contribution to support us at We the World by going to we.net. Now let's bring in my co-host, Rick Olphick. Rick Olphick is the founder of We the World at we.net and the co-creator of 11 Days of Global Unity. Welcome, podcast Rick Olphick.
Thank you, Jana, and thank you all so much for joining us for this important discussion of environment at our 11 Days of Global Unity Summit. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Sue Blythe. Sue Blythe is a We Team member and partner working with We the World's environment campaign. She facilitates a participatory climate conversation in action program to engage all ages in writing the next chapter of the story of life on Earth. Her 9 grandchildren continually inspire the Climate Collaboratory, a project of We the World, the Interfaith Climate Group, and a growing network of partners. Welcome to the broadcast, Sue Blythe.
Thank you, Rick.
So Sue, could you please give some context for this environment discussion? And then please introduce Carol Devine and John Nix, who will be joining this panel.
Well, I'll be glad to. Thank you. So I came into the We Team about 5 years ago, I think. And when I learned what We the World was doing through the year, in addition to the 11 Days of Global Unity, I began to envision a children's story that would engage people of all ages in taking care of the earth, our home. I wanted to bring that story to life in my own part of the world, right here in Alachua County, Florida. I'm always happy to find people in our local and global networks to bring light and life to our climate conversation in action. So I'm pleased to have 2 of those people here today. So Reverend Carol Devine is the National Faith and Climate Director for Eco America's Blessed Tomorrow program. She's an ordained minister of the Christian Church with Disciples of Christ and founder of the denomination's Creation Care Ministry. John Nix is a 4th-generation farmer who loves and cares for the natural world. He works as energy conservation engineer with Alachua County Public Schools and serves in community organizations, including the NAACP Environmental and Climate Justice Committee and Alachua County Citizens Climate Advisory Committee, as well as work in his rural community church. So Carol, can you please tell us a little about your work with Eco America's Blessed Tomorrow program?
Thank you so much, Sue, and thanks to the great work at We the World. I am, as you said, Carol Devine, and Blessed Tomorrow is the faith program of Eco America. Eco America has 3 different programs: Climate for Health, which works with health professionals, and a communities program called Path to Positive Community Programs. And Blessed Tomorrow is the faith program, which is a coalition of diverse religious partners who are united as faithful stewards of God's creation. We all have different sacred texts, holy days, worship practices, but we all share one earth and are united with the desire for a flourishing world for future generations. And Sue, if you don't mind, I'd love to tell you about Blessed Tomorrow's participation as a coalition member of a multi-faith group that came together to advance care for creation and climate justice that's been working for the past 6 months or a little more. And from that work has formed the One Home, One Future campaign, which was created to strengthen vitality, relevance, and community connections across generations through creation care. As you all know, we have 7 years to meet the goals set by the IPCC of 45% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030. But is there a better number for people of faith than 7? And so there is also no better folks to lead on climate than people of faith. And so the One Home, One Future campaign supports visible leadership by congregations and people of faith toward a thriving future for all people. And all of the first congregations who join this movement will receive free banners and resource kits for participation and leading visibly. And in response to these 7 years and this holy number of 7, the campaign offers 7 pathways for action that allow congregations and faith leaders of all ages to start wherever they are, whether they're new to this work or are climate leaders. And so resources from so many faith traditions are provided through each of these 7 pathways with ideas of how to get started or how to engage further. And so we invite all congregations and all people of faith to join us, to join Blessed Tomorrow in this really important work as we move together on this very important issue.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carol. And I really look forward to working with you and the faith leaders that are involved in your program to bring this work with the global goals of the United Nations to accomplish by the year 2030. So we've got 7 years to work on this. And so thank you. And John Nix, I wonder if you could share some of the ways you encourage climate action right here in Alachua County, Florida.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sue. And thank you, We of the World. It's always a great opportunity to get a chance to tell as much as I can about what climate change really is. So I've been able to wear quite a few hats toward that goal. As Sue mentioned, I am a 4th generation farmer. Currently, I raise grass-fed beef on a very sustainable farm that's almost 100 years old. My grandfather started this farm, so I'm very connected to nature. Secondly, by my training, I am an engineer, and also I work in the agricultural arena and the energy arena. I spent 35 years with a utility company, and I'm very proud to say that a utility company was very much environmental oriented. So I got a chance to work in the energy conservation field all of my career. And now I'm getting the wonderful opportunity to take that energy conservation theory and bring it into our school system here in Alachua County. So in that vein, I have started gardening programs to teach our young kids how to grow food and how to be connected to the environment. We also have recycling programs where we take a lot of the material that we produce in our schools and have it recycled in a proper way. We have various groups in our schools that make sure that various materials are recycled and sent to landfills in a way that it could be properly disposed of. I also have an opportunity to teach our community what climate change really is about. I chair a climate advisory board that where we advise our city and county commissioners on what we think the community needs to understand and move toward a climate action plan. That's our goal, is to advise them and to come up with a climate action plan for Alachua County. On this advisory board, we have quite a diverse group of people so that we know that everybody's voice is being heard. So we've taken some actions. First, we've done what we call a vulnerability analysis to find out where our county is vulnerable. What things should we be working on first? We know that we're surrounded by a lot of woodlands, and so things like air quality in case of fires are very important. We know that energy is very important. We found out where the most emissions are coming from. So we're basically doing an analysis of our current situation of our county. And then we can find out what's more vulnerable, and then we can come up with solutions, and we can build an interface structure so that we can make our area more resilient. So those are some of the things that I work on the farm, with the schools, and with our community.
Thank you so much, John. And it really is a pleasure. John and I cross paths pretty frequently. And it's a wonderful treat to work with you in telling our climate story for Alachua County. So I'd like to just share a story that I would like to tell. And we call this On the Road to 2030, 2050, and Beyond. Hello, it's me, Grandma Sue Blythe, and I have a story to tell about the world I want to see. Our story begins in the year 2050, when the world is celebrating the Earth's temperature coming back down. In my story, the sage in me is age 103. My great-grandson Leaf is making a presentation for the 50th anniversary of the Earth Charter. He has questions, and I have a lifetime of stories to tell. Leaf asks, Great-Grandma Sage, tell me how Alachua County's climate story began. Ah, yes, we told that story back in 2024 for the 200th anniversary of Alachua County, right here in North Central Florida. We started with the illustrated historical scroll that went back more than 7 centuries, when people lived in harmony with the natural world. We asked young people to help tell the story through the arts. They wrote, drew, and acted out scenes of the social, environmental, and technological movements through the centuries. We elders told stories of our personal memories of those moments. This was on We the World's Welcome to We Show. I remember the first climate fair back in 2023. Mayors and commissioners learned how they could prepare for hurricanes, floods, wildfires, and extreme heat. And they heard from local groups that could help. Through the next year, the county hosted community meetings to talk about how we could minimize and deal with climate risks. We invited young people to express their hopes and fears about the planet. And this was a stage show that was put on by high school kids here in Alachua County. And they had 5 original songs and performed it like a Broadway stage play. Then they interviewed people from the community, including John Nix and myself. We collected words of wisdom from the world's spiritual and cultural traditions. We have organized them according to the themes of the United Nations Global Goals for 2030. And we correlated those with the 16 principles of the Earth Charter, launched in the year 2000. The Earth Charter says the protection of Earth's vitality, diversity, and beauty is a sacred trust. That's the work that Carol is so devoted to. At the second annual climate fair in 2024, we told Alachua County's bicentennial climate story, looking back on 200 years of our history and imagining what life might be like in 2224, 200 years in the future. The Matheson History Museum made our climate story into a virtual museum exhibit for the 200th anniversary of Alachua County. Back in the beginning of the Earth Charter century, in the year 2000, our hope, our wish, our prayer was that we could make a world that works for all. The Earth Charter ends with these words: "Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life." Well, thank you for helping to make that vision a reality, said Blythe. Now it's my generation's turn to show how our human family is growing peace on and with the earth, our home. We're telling our story on the holographic tree of life at Alachua County's 27th annual climate fair in 2050. So that's the story I want to tell when we get to 2050. I'm just one of 8 billion people with stories to tell about how we made the transition to a world that works for all. And what is your climate story? We all have one. So join us on the road to 2030, 2050, and beyond. And our Climate Collaboratory is a project of We the World and a growing network of partners. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And yeah, so we're going to be telling this story through the year, and actually as we get into the year 2025, we hope to be working with Earth Charter International and the United Nations to really tell this story on a global level. So what we're doing in Alachua County is a demonstration, and we are having great fun putting it together here.
Good to see you. That was wonderful, Sue. You look back in time. I love that.
Mm.
That's so wonderful. And thank you all. This is great to hear all the things that you're doing. So I have a question. Can we have a call to action? Like, what are you each calling for? How would you like people to take action in their lives that can contribute to sustainability and really the survival of human civilization and all the life forms on the planet as well? Do you want to start, Sue?
Well, sure. I just figure everybody can take a look at those UN global goals. They're called the Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, if you just Google SDG, you'll see them and see how you can help to make a world that works for all. And then you go to climatecollaboratory.org to record your own climate story or upload your digital artwork for our collaborative storytelling adventure. That's climatecollaboratory.org.
Sounds good. Carol?
I love this living into this old saying we've all heard, which is think globally, act locally, right? And so I would encourage all of us to think about, as Sue has framed it, what will we be able to say looking back that we have done, and like John has shared, but our action has to be where we are, where we live locally. And so I just would encourage anybody to check out the website One Home, One Future as an individual or for your congregation. Sign up and start wherever you are through one of the 7 pathways for engagement, and just lead visibly. Sometimes our actions are a little bit too secretive, but as we share our stories, as Sue has invited us to do, with all of those in our communities, churches, families, friends, neighborhoods, it encourages them to also lead and act on climate justice. And so please check out and sign up at onehomeonefuture.org.
Sounds good to me. How about you, John?
And I would like to just concur with what both Sue and Carol has said. One of the things that we do in the Climate Action Committee is that we involve all other associations and groups, and we come together as a group. So we're assigned to work with as liaisons to all community groups that deal with climate. And I think that, as Carol has mentioned, if we come together in a common denominator, we get a lot more done. Because if we unite with that common cause, even though we might be working in different paths, but understanding what that common denominator is, that we can really make a big difference. And start with where we are. Start with your homes. Actually start and understand and teach the next generation, as Sue's story has said, bring them in. My grandson is a big part of our farm and the sustainable ways, just as my granddad taught me. So we need to also make sure that we teach that next generation that value, because we're all trying. This generation is all trying to be very, very quick. They want things quick, but we have to also show them that they have to also look at what the cost of being quick is. So it's very important that we make sure that we talk to them about being also respectful of what the resources are and using them in a great and useful way that is sustainable.
Very important. Thank you. And Jana, what's your call to action?
Well, I say be like Sue, be like Carol, and be like John, because they've laid it all out. It's all there. It's easy to follow. You just have to just jump in and do it. So thank you all for all the work that you do. It's very inspiring, and it's amazing to see such people doing so much. Thank you.
I totally agree. And for me, this is a really, truly inspiring discussion. And I can see people being engaged into all of these things that the three of you are talking about. So thank you for being part of the 11 Days of Global Unity. And Jana?
Yes, thank you, Rick. Thank you, Sue, Carol, and John. And thank you all for being a part of this and for watching our 11 Days of Global Unity. Go to we.net to get involved And don't forget to stick around for our public discussion right after this panel.
Yeah, thank you, Jana, and everyone. So it's all about we, right? So let's go from being a me society to a we society. That's why we launched we.net. So together we can create a world that works for all. Much love and thanks to you all. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.